Well, inmates are set to receive their COVID-19 jab from today. The Department of Correctional Services says that this will help create a safe environment, not just for the inmates, but also for officials working in the Correctional Services facility. Over 90 vaccination sites have been approved for this so far. But more on this, Chrispin Phiri, spokesperson for the Department of Correctional Services, joins me now. Mr. Phiri, good morning to you. I'm sure this is quite a big day for the Correctional Services Department. What's the state of preparedness come, the vaccination rollout, rather, for prisoners and inmates?
Oh, just a quick one. It's a spokesperson for the Ministry of Justice and Correctional Services. Singabaka Tumelo is the departmental spokesperson. We are relatively prepared for us to roll out this vaccine as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. We have identified approximately 90 sites across the country where we will be vaccinating most of our inmates. And I want to upfront answer a question that I think most viewers may be asking themselves, is why are inmates getting vaccinated before other people in society? This is because our centers, as big as they are, have very limited physical distancing capacity. And so you would imagine that once the virus really finds expression in our correctional facilities, it would be a massive super spreader, which has direct implications for members of our community as well, because the conduit for the virus would obviously be officials who would carry the virus in and out of our facilities. So vaccinating inmates really protects our loved ones in our communities primarily.
Right. And we apologize for getting your title there wrong, but just as you continue to explain to us, the state of preparedness within, the department, or even when it comes to correctional services, what's been the challenges that you've incurred, particularly with the rate of infections, perhaps even deaths that we've seen within the correctional services?
Unfortunately, we have seen just over 200 deaths of officials and just under 90 deaths of inmates in our facilities. And it's quite sad. Of course, losing a life is not something that anyone looks forward to. Overall, the recovery rate in our correctional centers across the country sits at about just over 90%. It's actually 91.9%. So that's why we have managed to contain the virus as much as possible, and we're really indebted to inmates for their cooperation, but also our correctional services officials for really adhering to the standard operating procedures that apply, so that we're able to contain the spread of the virus. That's far in our centers.
Yeah, and I know that speaking of those centers, Mr. Phiri, there are new, operations that you have undertaken once one is admitted into correctional services, just in terms of isolation, in terms of making sure that, they fit the time period stipulated and ensuring that they are safe, but also the safety and well-being of other inmates is also prioritized. Take us through what that process entails.
That's correct. So once an inmate or someone who's coming into our centers is admitted, they are isolated for a period of 14 days where they are placed under observation to ensure that they do not exhibit any symptoms, but also they then are given a test. And that test, once those test results come back, we know exactly what their status is, so to speak. Within that period of 14 days, once they have exhibited no symptoms and they have been properly screened, they are then reintegrated back into the facility, into other parts of the facility to mingle with other inmates. And that would be then done on the recommendation of the case management committee in the center, which would assess the offender based on the type of offense that the offender has committed, and so on and so on. But in the event that we do find that an inmate who's coming in is COVID positive, they would then further have to be quarantined for about 10 days, where they're then observed and they're given the necessary protocols to ensure that they're brought back to speed and they're amended so that they are not in a position to infect other people. So we do have health experts on site, and we do have all the necessary expertise as much as possible to ensure that people who are infected in our facilities or who come in infected are able to be brought to amend.
All right, we'll leave it then. Thank you so much for keeping us up to speed and talking to us this morning, Mr. Chrispin Phiri.